Good morning, everyone. We are
Hi.
back, and today we're going to just answer your questions. I have absolutely zero quizzes.
It's got nothing.
Other than questions that you asked me, Karen, which I know you have a lot of
I
questions.
have a lot of questions.
But so do these people.
Okay.
Anything that we say is not meant to diagnose you or cure you. It's just meant for your own information, do your own research with the help of your doctor. And so that's my disclaimer, and I'm sticking to it.
Okay.
So I tell you what, you see if there's any questions in social media.
Yeah.
I'm going to go jump right into my Hareen from Tampa, Florida. Are you there? Hello? My Hareen, are you there? All right, I'll have someone check on that. Let's go to John from, you're in Florida. John, are you there? Don't
Is
tell me.
anybody there?
Don't tell me.
Anybody.
Okay, let's go to Katie from New Jersey.
Hey.
Katie, are you there?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi.
Good
how are you?
morning.
Good morning.
Yay. How are you? Thank you
Right.
so much for your videos. I got to tell you, I went from 235 down to 158. Here's my question.
Awesome.
Fantastic.
I take both your wheatgrass and your electrolyte, but sometimes in the morning I don't have time to do it, like the apple cider vinegar and then the other drink. So can I mix this together, the apple cider vinegar with the wheatgrass and the electrolytes, or will that, because it's an acid, denurture what value that I'm getting from the two juices?
Only if you time it by about 10 seconds and then you mix it, because if you put them together at the exact same, no, I'm just kidding. No, you can totally mix them together. Will not be a problem.
Okay.
Not at all. A lot of people just put everything together.
Okay, so you can get all the same benefits without worrying about I'm losing something.
No, yeah, absolutely.
But that was my question. I want to thank you so much.
Oh, well, I appreciate your calling. This is
And I wanna-
awesome.
I want to say one thing.
Yeah.
Anybody who has a family member who has Alzheimer's or dementia, get your mom or dad on this diet. It works. I have a patient who has dementia, 4th stage, end stage, and got her off of sugar, got her onto fats. You would not believe the change in sundowning.
Wow.
Big change.
Wow.
Big change.
That is fantastic.
Yes, and she's 89 years old, by the way.
Wow.
Oh, my gosh.
So
That,
it really works.
That's awesome. I think they, I think people don't realize the flexibility of what you can do with your body, especially the brain. The brain actually can bounce back. We've seen people with all sorts of issues, like this guy with Parkinson's. He's completely coming back. But the key is doing the right thing. For those of you that are new on the channel, we're talking about 3 things. We're talking about the ketogenic diet. Number 2, we're talking about the healthy version of that called healthy keto. And then we're talking about intermittent fasting. Those 3 things in combination are fantastic to get your body healthy so you can avoid a lot of health problems. But especially if you have Alzheimer's, you should definitely watch the videos on that.
Yeah,
Awesome.
It's great to hear from somebody who's using it.
Yeah, could you imagine, I would love to go into a nursing home and just put everyone on keto. I mean, it'd be incredible versus feeding them every hour and a half.
I know.
Okay, Marie, you're from Los Angeles, California. Are you there?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, great. Okay. Wow, where do I start? Okay, I just want to say thank you so much for your videos. They're very helpful. And I've been suffering my whole life with systemic candidiasis, fibromyalgia, adrenal fatigue, the whole deal. So I'll get right to the point. I don't want to take all your time. So I tried MCT oil about 2 weeks ago, and my heart rate shot up to 140, and it's not coming down. And so I went to the emergency room about 5 times in the last 2 weeks, and they put me on cardizem and everything. I've gotten to the point now where I can't eat fat anymore. I can't eat, even an avocado will make my heart race. What happened was I took, the bottle said take a tablespoon I took a half a teaspoon because I'm very sensitive to things, and I knew kind of this might happen. So I took a half a teaspoon, spread it out over, a week, and then the last time I took it in my smoothie with vitamin D3 and K2. And literally my heart shot up, has not come down. It comes down, but it goes up and down, up and down. I feel terrible. I feel like I can't breathe. I'm starting to get really anxious at this point. I went to the hospital. They checked my calcium, and they said my calcium's fine. Again, I can't eat that. Even the electrolyte powder is affecting me. And I went out in the sun the other day, and I got really sick from that. I don't know what to do.
All right, so here's a couple things that I would recommend off the bat. I've never heard this specific thing before, but I have heard the problem with people consuming fats or oils, and all of a sudden the pulse rate goes up. So probably what's happening is there's some type of congestion within your gallbladder or your bile duct, which is then creating some type of congestion, which backs right up to the liver and then puts pressure on the heart. So very simply, you should search out my video that is named gallbladder flushing. It's a kind of a manual technique where you just start massaging the gallbladder, and then you do both sides and the pancreas, and you start doing that. And if there is any congestion there, it helps to kind of get things flowing and moving. So if you did that, it may help you. So try that. The other thing is you're going to be pretty much safe with if maybe consuming more vegetables for a while, for a day or two, or maybe just a day, just to kind of get your liver kind of cleaned out, because obviously there's a sensitivity to the gallbladder. And the other thing is maybe some purified bile salts to help break down, because it was all triggered by that MCT oil, which is very just weird that happened. But that's what I would do, because I think the heart is racing because of the liver and gallbladder. So focus on that area, and then let me know how you do. All right? Good question. Hey, Jessica, you're from Ohio. You had a question about the gallstones, right? Go ahead.
Yes. Hi, Dr. Berg. How are you?
Hi, great.
Thank you for taking my call. So I've suffered with gallbladder stones for some years now. Doctors haven't asked if I wanted to get it removed or not. After watching a few of your videos, I decided that I don't want to get it removed because you're right. It's there for a reason. I have tried the keto diet, and I did very well with it. And then all of a sudden, I just couldn't do it anymore. I got GERD. The acid reflux was horrible. The pain on my right side was so bad. And I haven't been able to do it since. I lost 30 pounds and gained everything right back. I did buy your gallbladder formula. I just received it yesterday. And I just wanted to know if you would recommend, for me to take it, even though I have so many stones. Would it help me out, and would I be able to do the keto diet?
Good question. Now, just realize I'm not giving you any medical advice. I'm just kind of helping you focus on areas to research more, because I'm not telling you not to get your gallbladder out. But here's the question. How many stones did you have, and how big were the stones?
Well, they never told me how many stones I had. They said that I had stones.
Okay.
And that's where the pain was coming from and the discomfort.
So this is what you do. Request a copy of the report. Get all the information. You need all the information from this exam to see how big it is. I mean, for example, let's say, there's one big stone that's the same size as your gallbladder, and it's huge. Well, that could be a big problem, because that's, I think, almost impossible to resolve. But if there's like one tiny little stone, that would be more doable. So get that data, but realize that what causes stones is the super concentration of cholesterol. And that's usually coming from a lack of bile salts. So if you actually take more bile salts, that is going to put you in the right direction. Maybe what you do is you do a type of version of keto where you're keeping the vegetables high, you're taking bile salts, you're not going crazy with too many fats or cholesterol foods, simply because you might not have the bile to break it down, which could irritate the gallbladder. So you do a lot of vegetables, maybe do a moderate amount of fat, moderate protein, something like that, and then you watch my videos on the manual massage on the gallbladders, just so you keep things flowing. But I think you just need more data on what's going on. And then, should you do the keto? Yes, because it's low carb. If you go higher carb, that actually raises insulin, and that actually can create the stone. So we want to avoid high insulin. So keto is going to be the healthiest thing to do, but you modify it and make it healthy. Okay? So try that. And Karen, what do we got? Where do we have people contacting us from?
Okay, good. So far, I have Brazil, Ireland, Canada, Greece, Malaysia, Morocco, Asia, Lebanon, Bahrain, India, Holland, England, the Philippines. There's no one watching from the U.S.
Really?
No.
You're lying.
People from all over the U.S.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Okay, so lots of really good questions, but start with a simple one.
Give me a simple one.
Okay. Are chickpeas okay?
Well, you use chickpeas in hummus. Typically, we're not recommending, beans or peas, anything like that. However, hummus I think is going to be totally fine because it has the oil in there, it has the garlic, and just make sure you get the version that has the olive oil, not the soy oil. But chickpeas, a little bit. It's a minor point. Yes, you can have
chickpeas are also used in all kinds of dishes.
Yeah.
It's not just made with, and there's also chickpea flour, which then you'd be eating a bit more, but...
I think they can go for it. Just make sure your carbs are between 20 and 50 grams.
Go for it.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, now what's your opinion on doing the ketogenic diet if you have ulcers?
I would totally do it. Because it gets to the basic, solves the basic problem, because ulcers tend to come from a couple reasons. There's a lot of oxidation going on in your tissues, and that can come from a high carb, high sugar diet and refined foods like wheat and things like that. Mm-hmm. So of course you'd want to do keto. However, for an ulcer, there's a couple little things that you should think about. One is zinc. Zinc is very, very, I actually did a video on this. You can watch it on ulcers and zinc. Zinc is probably one of the best things to help you with ulcers. Also chlorophyll. You might not want to do the apple cider vinegar. Probably don't want it all because you're going to pour acid into an open wound. But I think you need to do chlorophyll. And that would be, you can do the wheatgrass juice powder that I have. That's a great source of chlorophyll. And then just consume that in an empty stomach. It'll actually help. And then make sure no processed foods, but of course keto for sure.
Okay, good, good. So here's a question about apple cider vinegar affecting or contributing to yeast or bladder infections. Is that a logical correlation?
Yeah, because people think, well, it's a fermented product. Anything from fermenting is going to cause a yeast infection. It's going to create problems. I've never seen that happen. So I'm not agreeing with it. If you feel worse on it, of course, stop. But one of the best things for yeast or candida would be garlic. Garlic and keeping a low carb diet, because yeast and candida only lives on sugar. So if you cut out their food source, guess what? You're going to actually kill them. You're going to starve them. So that's what I would recommend. Apple cider vinegar, I think, can establish a better pH in your digestive system to kill them off as well. So kombucha tea is a good idea as well.
Okay. Provided it's super low sugar.
Yes, good point, Karen.
Yeah.
Very good point, Karen.
Okay.
All right, so let's go to Flo from Fort Worth, Texas. You had a question about, will coffee creamer break my fast? Is that your question?
Yeah, well, actually, I just started this about a week ago, and prior to this, I was known for making my coffee concoctions, which I live for. So and also doing intermittent fasting. So I was trying to put a little bit of almond coconut, a little bit of half and half, and a little bit of swerve, which technically I guess amounted to less than 5 grams of carbs. Mm-hmm. If you don't count supposedly swerve is negligible on the carb count. Mm-hmm. So is 5 grams of carbs enough to technically break a fast and stop me from burning fat?
This is a really good question. So it really depends on a couple of factors. Number one, yes, it's going to break your fast a little bit, because breaking your fast all has to do with how much insulin is being generated. And if you did a MCT oil, it will not have an effect on insulin. However, your body will burn that fat first before it goes after your own fat. So you may not break a fast, but you may not lose weight. So if you're talking about, let's say, 5 grams of carbs, let's say, if for example, your metabolism is really fast, you can get away with that very easily. Or let's say you do this and then you work out, you're going to burn that up real fast. So that could counter that little spike in sugar. So it really depends on those factors. I probably would recommend doing, instead of Swerve, try erythritol. That would be like 0 influence on the glycemic index. So that might be a little better option for you. And stay tuned, because I do have a video coming up on bulletproof coffee. It's my secret hack that you're going to find out in a couple of days. So I'm going to do a video on that. Thanks for your question.
Thanks. Thanks, Dr. Berg.
You're welcome. All right, now let's go back to the original person I tried to get a hold of, Mahareen from Tampa, Florida. Are you there? You're there.
But you have it on hold.
No?
Hello?
Are you there?
I hear breath.
I think you're there, but your
You can
your
speak.
mic might not be on.
Tampa, Florida.
So we'll give you another.
Hello?
Hello.
Ah,
Yes.
yay.
I can hear you now.
Hi, I can't believe I'm talking to you guys.
Well, you are.
So, I am in Tampa, Florida.
Good.
Cool. What was your question?
Okay, my question is that I have been taking levothyroxine for the last 9 years due to my hypothyroidism. And I want to try, I want to really take the supplements, all these amazing supplements you have. And so what can I take while taking levothyroxine the first thing in the morning, which I take 25 mcg? So I want to try the wheatgrass juice, and I do but any supplement I take, like a multivitamin, I just get bloated, like really bad bloated. And, and then I have this pain, even in intermittent fasting, I have this left abdomen pain on below my left rib cage. So maybe the pancreas or something like that. And while I'm fasting, I sometimes get that pain.
Okay.
And so these are my 2 concerns. If you could help me out, guide me which supplements I can take.
I have a question.
I
have a question for you. Since over 90% of all hypothyroid conditions are Hashimoto's, do you have a Hashimoto's condition, autoimmune?
I don't think so, because I just got myself tested, and before, my doctor said she's going to test me with that, but when the results came, she didn't mention anything about Hashimoto, nothing like that. So she said it wasn't, because I had missed a couple of days for my medicine, and you know how that is, you have to have a blood test before they're prescribe it again. So I had taken the blood test while I had not been on the medicine for 3-4 days, and so the result wasn't, normal. So she said I should keep taking my medicine. So before, I used to take a 75 mcg for the whole 9 years. Recently, since 2 months, I have started taking 25 mcg. So, but then again, I had after 6 weeks, they made me do a test again, and the levels got normal. Probably it did increase.
Okay, so let me tell you.
I don't think so.
Let me give you my opinion on this, and of course, I'm not replacing your medical advice. So just check with your doctor before accepting my opinion. But here's a couple things. The thyroid, in order for the thyroid T4 to convert to the active form of the thyroid hormone called T3, It has to strip off an iodine molecule, and 80% of that happens through the liver, and 20% happens through the kidney. So, as you do keto, the liver and kidney do better, and you're going to find better conversions. So then that medication dosage might change. So, as you start doing this, you might have to adjust the medication, get help with your doctor. But if there's anything going on in the liver, that could actually slow you down. You mentioned bloating, right? So you might benefit from my gallbladder formula because that has the bile salts, which is, it targets bloating. And it also will help you convert T4 to T3 because you need bile to actually help that conversion. And that's why if you had a hyperthyroid, too much thyroid hormone, you wouldn't want to take bile salts. It's contraindicated. So in your case, I think you'd benefit from, of course, the wheatgrass, the bile salts, which is the gallbladder formula, and I think you'd benefit from my my Seek Help, because that has not only iodine, it has selenium. So selenium is just as important as iodine when you're dealing with thyroid. It's a powerful antioxidant, especially for Hashimotos, but just in general. So that's what I would recommend. So try that and let me know how it goes. All right, Karen.
Okay.
Do you have any questions?
Yeah, first I just want to tell Alan O'Reilly there is such a thing as a keto chocolate cake.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we've done video on that.
See my videos. Right, our videos. Okay, also, we just had join us since my last report, Egypt, Mexico, Serbia, Korea, Oman, Australia, Ethiopia, Guyana, Finland, Bosnia, Portugal, Germany, Pakistan, and Kuwait.
Wow.
I think this is the biggest list
That's
so far.
awesome.
It's incredible. Thanks for coming out. I mean, I don't even know what time of day is it in all these places.
Well, I have a question that I
Yeah.
want to ask everyone.
Okay.
And we're thinking of doing this, but we just want your confirmation that it would be a good idea or a bad idea. And the question is, well, first of all, let me tell you what we're going to do. We are going to kind of put some energy and attention on researching the ultimate bread recipe. And you think that would be a good idea or bad? Would you, if you could do a keto-friendly bread, would you be inclined to watch that video?
I mean, we have the ultimate bread recipe video.
Well,
So for the people that know that, why don't you tell them a little more? You want to make it better,
yeah, we're
easier.
Well, the type of bread I'm looking for is a bread that is even closer to like the sourdough bread, things like that.
Okay.
And so, what?
I think that's really close what we have, but there are different kinds of bread, for sure.
Right. But we were talking
people
about
need-
doing videos on bread.
Yes. Well, there are
That's
so
what I'm
many.
talking about.
Okay. Yeah, there are so many different kinds of bread, and I made a great bread one time. But it was a brown bread, and the texture was amazing. Except it made a loaf that was this big. Even the ultimate bread recipe we have makes 2 bowls like this size, and it's gone in a minute. And it tasted a lot like flax seed oil. So
Right.
You know, so we have to search that out.
Well, no
so
one is interested in that. No one's
everybody
interested in
wants
that.
bread.
Yeah.
Great idea, great idea. Yes, love bread.
Bread and butter on keto? Are you kidding me? Oh.
I think Steve is a yes.
Steve is a yes.
So anything in the area of doing different bread recipes, I think we're going to be
Road trip.
People are interested. Yeah.
No bread. No bread. Okay.
So
All
the
right,
majority of
that's
people
one
like
person,
bread.
Yeah. Now, what about the other idea of foods,
What idea was that?
like regional foods? You
That's
wanna
right.
mention
That's another
that?
thing we're doing. Yeah.
So another thing we're going to do is we're going to, excuse me, we're going to seek out all the regional comfort foods in the United States and the world. That's a long list.
Yeah.
We're going to start in the
And we're going to try to get this done in 1 month.
And because, you know, it's one thing to have a keto recipe, but then there's when you go to your family or you go to
Lebanon.
when you go to Lebanon and you have these local comfort foods. And can you make those same kind of foods keto? probably a lot of you guys know because you're living there and you're already trying to cook keto. But we want to help out with that, and we're curious.
So let me just kind of summarize. Like, for example, we want to take the top 5 foods in India that people consume that are not keto and make them keto.
How can you, okay, rice.
Right. Don't give out the answer. We want to just come up with recipes to make it keto friendly as possible, but take the top foods.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So that's what we're going to do. We just spilled the beans with that one, but that's fine. Hey, Tracy, you're from Ohio, and you had a question. Go ahead.
Hi. So my question is, I've been doing OMAD for a few weeks now, and what I experience when about 10 minutes after I start to eat is a headache. And sometimes it's a really intense headache, and sometimes it's just like a mild headache, and it'll last for 20 minutes up to an hour sometimes. And so I'm curious as to why that would occur and how to prevent it.
I have a question. Is the headache on the right side of your head or the left side?
I don't know, actually. It's just a general headache. It's like in my temples.
Okay. Is it more on the right temple or the left temple?
I don't know.
Okay. All right. So the couple things with that. What I would I think you're going through a transitional thing that's going to actually get better as you do this. But anytime you fast prolonged, or maybe even sometimes even OMAD, and you haven't eaten for a while, and your system is so used to not eating, and all of a sudden you eat, it can definitely create a little bit of irritation to, or I guess a transitional problem with either your pancreas or your gallbladder. It's just, it has to kick in there. It's a little sluggish. It might take a little bit to get that thing working again. So what I would want you to do, and I'm guessing you're feeling it more on the right side. That's just a guess. I might be wrong. But if you are, that's usually gallbladder. So you'd want to do massaging your gallbladder. If you watch my video on, I think it's gallbladder flushing, and you do that technique, chances are your headache is going to instantly go gone. If it's on the left side, you work on the left side. Try that. The next thing to try is just to try to eat just a small amount of food, wait a little bit, and then add your whole meal in there, just so you can get the motor primed a little bit. Okay? Try that. All right, Karen, do we have a question?
Yes, there's a question. So Eric on YouTube says he gets sudden headaches when he starts to exercise. What would that be from, or what can he do?
Wow, these are interesting questions you guys are asking. I've never been asked that question, a sudden headache when you exercise. Well, you are increasing blood flow and blood pressure. There is something called, and I'm not saying you have this, but I did a video on something called POTS, which has to do with you get up too fast and you get dizzy, or you suddenly increase your blood pressure and you might feel weird. I don't know if that's going on, but if you did have that problem, it would be like just temporary and then it would go away. But I would personally want to, I would check your blood pressure. I would check also, I did this video on this test called Ragland's test. Go ahead and do that test where you check your blood pressure lying down and then check it standing up. And normally it should go up by 6 points. If it goes up way too high or too low, it could mean that your adrenals are just not adapting to that positional change. So with what you have, I think more it's an adrenal weakness because your body's just not adjusting. So seek out my videos on the adrenal and apply the techniques that I talk about.
Okay, good. So Chris Martin on Facebook, he is asking why would he get sleepy after he eats?
Well, that is classic insulin resistance, or prediabetes, or a person who has diabetes can have that system, because what happens when you eat, your blood sugars should go up a certain amount, but not excessively. And if you have a problem with pre-diabetic situation or insulin resistance, we have a exaggerated spike in insulin. And insulin is what will make you tired after eating. Also, high blood sugar will also make you tired after eating. Just like after a Thanksgiving meal, you want to take a nap. That's what's happening. The way that you know insulin resistance is getting better is if you don't get that sleepiness after you eat. So it's what he's telling me is basically he needs to do healthy keto and intermittent fasting. And if he's already doing it, he has to do it longer.
Good.
See, the way that I'm knowing I'm getting the right answers is I'm watching these little stars that go up when people
On
are...
Facebook, the little bubbles, the
yeah, they're
thumbs
hearts
up and
or
the
something.
hearts.
Yeah, so I know if I say
Well,
the
what do
right
you-
thing, I get more of them.
Okay,
So-
everybody press their heart on Facebook. Why do you do that? Why do they do that?
Because
it
they
just
like the
means
answer.
They like it. Okay.
Look, we got one.
Well,
That's a
because
heart.
I just asked.
We
Up,
got two.
There we go. Thumbs up.
Those are really, really cool.
That is cute, isn't it?
Yeah.
There they go.
You watch those bubbles.
No, wait, I have another
Okay,
question
go
here.
ahead.
It's kind of an interesting question. I just love it. Okay, good. So, this is a guy on YouTube. I can't tell a name. It says, Dr. Berg, can I consume just one slice of bread with 3 grams of sugar just once a week? On your keto and fasting routine for 40 days, and I shed 10 kilos. I can't compliment your YouTube videos enough. Cheers. So he's on it, he's lost it, but now he wants to do bread and sugar. You just put the sugar right on the bread.
Well, I was going to say no, but then he complimented me, so it's hard to say. No, I mean, here's the thing. I think if you have good control and you can once a week and you're going off and you get right back on there, I mean, try it.
It's just
see what
going to
happens.
interfere in fat burning.
Yeah.
It could be up to 3 days. It depends on what you eat. So
If you're willing to suffer the consequences, I mean, it's probably going to be a minor thing, but if you're willing to have it throw you off for a period of time, then go for it. It's just one of those things. I think it's actually sometimes good to go off to see how your body responds, to see if you can handle it or not, because then you'll know. Like, for example, people are saying, well, don't you have a cheat day? And then all of a sudden, I'm like, oh, go ahead and try a cheat day. And then they feel like crap, and all of a sudden they go off for several days. It's not worth it. Well, good. I didn't have to tell you anything. You experimented on your body, and you know what you can do, what you can get away with. But if you build up your health to a period of time, you can maintain your weight, and your metabolism's good, and you want to go off here and there, I don't see a problem with it.
just don't say keto doesn't work.
Right. If you start twitching, don't then complain that keto's not working for you. Start twitching and foaming at the mouth. Yeah.
Then cut back. At
Yeah.
that point, you want to cut back.
But I do say that if people, like what happens though is they go off and then they go off, one cheat day leads to 2, and all of a sudden, next thing you know, they're off for 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the trap, because as soon as you go off, your blood sugars start going, and then time goes by.
Cravings.
But it really depends on your self-discipline and getting back on quickly.
Mm-hmm. And the other thing too is sometimes they've been on keto for a while, or their metabolism is just different, and they can go off a little bit, and then they share that with other people.
Yeah.
And those bodies can't handle it.
Yeah, I know.
And they have weight gain, or they just have, how many questions do we get every week on plateau?
I think the
Plateau.
problem is other people that actually either like the.
Do you want to rephrase that?
There's a lot of people who will tempt you. You might have relatives that will tempt you and just have all this amazing non-keto food right in front of your face, right? And they're just like, oh, go ahead, just try one. It won't kill you.
Don't get too skinny.
Yes,
Don't
that's
get
right.
too skinny.
Right. Okay, Lily,
All right.
you're from California. You had a question. Go ahead. What was your question?
Hey, first, thank you so much, Dr. Berg, for sharing your knowledge. You're awesome.
Oh, thanks.
I recently switched to keto diet, and I'm now doing the intermittent fasting. However, I'm doing it for all the benefits besides losing weight. I'm actually staying high on my fats because I want to maintain my weight. But I don't like the cellulite that comes with my weight, and that's from my fat eating habits and all the carbs. Do I need to let myself lose weight to burn through the bad fats and then regain it now that I'm eating better? Or am I okay doing what I'm doing right now and it's just going to eventually go away?
Do you, how old are you?
45.
Okay, so you're kind of going into like a premenopause, right?
Gee, maybe she
Yes.
didn't
Okay.
think of that.
So what happens with that is that many women, when they go into premenopause, they have this thing that is cellulite, but they also have something that looks like cellulite, which is a loss of muscle. And you have to be able to determine, I did a video on this, is it a loss of muscle? Because here they are, they're losing weight, but that cellulite never goes away because it's really just a lack of muscle, because as you approach age 50, 52 exactly, you get this spike in cortisol. Cortisol is a very destructive hormone to proteins, and if you haven't kept that level of fitness over a period of time, and maybe it caught up to you, like all of a sudden you're losing all this muscle mass, it looks just like fat, but it's atrophy. And so I think what you should do is, because you don't really know if it's that or just actual fat, is to do a stricter version of keto, and it's called keto and steroids. I have a video on that. Watch the updated version, and then add in a type of exercise that really works your lower extremity to the point where you get this optimum workout to recovery ratio, so you're not overdoing it. And I think, and then just give it time. And the closer you are to 50, the longer it's going to take. And it could take several years. It's not going to happen in months, but eventually it will go away. Okay? Thanks. All right, Karen.
Yeah. Here's an interesting question.
What's that?
You're going to like this one. I think it's Ahmad on YouTube says, "Hi, I want to ask about dark chocolate and keto.
Dark chocolate.
Is it okay if I eat it, and how much per day?"
You mean like this? Dark chocolate? I'm going to do a video on this anyway.
Today.
Okay, so you got different, you ever see those percentages on the chocolate label? It says 70%
Yes.
of cacao. That's basically the concentration of this, the chocolate,
Right.
without all the extra stuff. You would want to do it 100%, but that's going to be very bitter, right?
Yeah, it's just like eating cocoa powder.
Making, yeah, bitter, but there's no sweet. The problem with chocolate is the sugar in it. So there is a version of chocolate that you can do, like Lily's has no sugar, so that would be an option. But the other chocolate I think is fine if you consume it in the morning in just small amounts because it's very concentrated. There's a lot of good things in chocolate. There's magnesium, there's potassium, there is phenylalanine, there's phytonutrients in there, which I'm going to do a video on, so you could check that out. But what I like to do is I like to take a little chunk and just put it right, but I'm talking like there's no sugar in there.
No sugar, 100%.
Just a little bit, that little corner, and put it right in my coffee in the morning. It has some additional cognitive benefits that I like. So in that case, I would recommend it, but it does have a little caffeine, but it's tiny. But it has something called theobromine, which is a caffeine-like thing. So don't consume too much of it, and definitely not in the afternoons because it's going to affect your sleep.
And sugar-free. No sugar. No
Right.
sugar at all. He's
If
talking about
if you do like
bitter
100%
Yeah.
cacao, then you're safe. But get something quality because cacao
Organic.
is the difference between cacao and cocoa powder would be the cacao is has more nutrients, it's less processed, it's usually raw. Cocoa powder is under high heat.
Good point, Dr. Berg.
Thank you, Dr. Karen. Let's go to Neil from Canada. You had a question about artificial sweeteners. Are you there?
Good morning. Thank you.
Good morning.
I'm here. You got me?
Yep.
Thank you.
Sure.
I've been on keto for about 10 months and lost about 30 pounds. I started it because of type 2 diabetes. I was off my metformin in 2 weeks, so that's been amazing. My question has to do with artificial sweeteners. I'm seeing lots of pop-ups all over the place, yourselves included, regarding fat bombs and stuff like that. I've been struggling to find an artificial sweetener. I think there's three aspects to artificial sweeteners. They affect your gut biome, they impact your blood sugars, and you get cravings, sugar cravings or sweetness cravings, right? So how do you tie all these together? The only thing I've found through my research is maybe stevia works for all of those, but you recommend xylitol, for example, and it has a high GI as far as I can see. And the erythritol, I've read that it affects your gut biome in a negative way. So is there a sweet spot here?
Yeah,
I'm
good
also
question.
concerned about if I start eating these bombs, maybe I'm going to get hungry for sweets all the time, right?
Good question, very good question. Sounds like another video in the process, but there's a couple things. When you consume a lot of these artificial or sugar alcohols, they do affect your gut biome, and I'm talking about gas and bloating. So the worst one is maltitol, but you might want to experiment. There's ones that are like inulin, which is a fiber from chicory root, and some people can do it, some people can't. So you might want to test which ones you can do. Erythritol has 0 on the glycemic index, but a lot of people get bloating with that. So there's some pluses and negatives to these things. Xylitol seems to, I do very well on xylitol if I have just small amounts. And I'm talking the tiniest packet in my coffee. If I use stevia, it just doesn't taste right. Now, it's not high on the glycemic index, but it's not 0. It's like 30. So there is something there. And if you have small amounts, it doesn't seem to affect my blood sugars at all, or the insulin or the fasting or anything, because I'm just doing one little packet in the morning. So it has to do with quantity. So you might want to test different ones. You're going to be pretty much safe with stevia because, but the problem is that doesn't really mix well with coffee. But other things, it's great. Monk fruit is good as well, but you're going to have to test the waters and see which one you can do. I don't think you're going to have a problem with all of a sudden start craving sweets if you do these. It's really a matter of how does it do with your digestive system. So you have to test it out yourself because it's like you do well with certain ones but not others.
Mm-hmm.
So
and I don't ever. I mean, I don't know. Maybe there's a study, and it can happen, but I never have sweet cravings as a result of consuming one of these kinds of natural sweeteners. It just never happens.
Now, but
for me anyway.
Right, but I will say inulin, or sometimes you see these so-called keto-friendly, like corn fiber, all this fiber. Boy, that can just really bloat you. So, yeah, be careful of those things. Mm-hmm. Hey, Sheila, you're from Virginia. You had a question about body types. Go ahead.
Yes, Dr. Berg. Thank you so much for taking my phone, first of all. And the question is that if you see me, you can obviously tell me you have an ovary body type. But I can also fit into the adrenal body type.
Yeah.
I'm 51. The metabolism is shut down. So I'm on keto and intermittent diet for about 6 weeks or so. Mm-hmm. So I also have a chronic migraine. I don't want to do anything to trigger my migraine either because it's pretty bad.
Okay.
So what is your suggestion for me?
Okay,
I have lost so far about 14 pounds though.
Okay, good. So in this book right here, okay, what I do is I have everyone just do for 2 weeks basic keto and intermittent fasting, and I show you how to do it, okay? Then from there, you can make it your body type. If you're 50 years old or 52, I'm not sure what you said, I would go right to the adrenal, not the ovary. Start with the adrenal, simply because that can actually, you're losing the function of the ovaries during menopause, but the adrenal is what's backing them up. So you want to focus on the adrenal. That's what I would do if I were you. So the adrenal tweak on your basic body type, and then just ride the wave, and then continue it, giving it more time. So that's really what I would recommend if I were you. Thanks for your call. All right, Karen, over to you.
Yeah, well, there's something came up here about stevia in the raw and these natural, like these stevia sweeteners, or The one thing you have to watch out for is maltodextrin, right?
Yes, because they add those things in there.
They add this, and say why that is not something you want.
Maltodextrin, out of all the sugars, and I do not know for the life of me why they put that in keto-friendly desserts, whatever, is the highest thing on the glycemic index. I mean, it's like way higher than sugar. I think sugar is like 75 or something like that, like sucrose. No, yeah, sucrose. So glucose is 100, maltodextrin is 110, if not even a little more. So you're dealing with this massively deadly blood sugar stimulation thing. So and
put
they
into a
they
stevia
put it right
packet.
in stevia. It's crazy.
Or you have to really read the labels. Even something stevia in the raw,
Yeah.
there will be a second ingredient. It's kind of hard to find these things without it, but it's out there.
The secret is reading the ingredients, and just because it's stevia, just because it's keto friendly, doesn't make it okay.
Right. Whoops.
All right. Okay, Karen, we're going to go right to Heather from Nashville. You had a question on gastroparesis, right?
Yes. Hello, how are you?
Great.
I have a quick question about gastroparesis. I have type 2 diabetes. I have for quite a while, and I just started keto. I've been doing it for about 5 weeks. My concern is I eat papaya to help with my gastroparesis. It has helped for a very long time. I haven't lost a lot of weight, but I don't want to stop using anything that actually helps with the gastroparesis because it's very not comfortable. So if you have any suggestions about what I could possibly take in the place of what I'm using right now concerning the gastroparesis.
Did anyone ever mention the actual root cause of gastroparesis to you?
No, no one has.
Interesting. Yeah, because they don't really talk about that. So basically, gastroparesis is a condition where your transit time through the stomach and the small intestine is lower than it should be. So what she's taking papaya, which has great enzymes to help digestion and speed things up. The problem with papaya is there's too many carbs. So what I'm going to recommend, and this is from my experience, it's purely a lack of hydrochloric acid and the right pH. You might have hydrochloric acid in there, but it's just not acidic enough. So, and it's really interesting, like you go to a gastro doctor and they never check the pH. And so what I would recommend as a simple solution is start to consume betaine hydrochloride and or apple cider vinegar, okay? And just do that for a period of time. And it might take some weeks before you start seeing some significant change, but that is going to be the ultimate solution. There's other things you can do in the meantime as well. You can add enzymes. You can take some purified bile salts. You may want to consider getting my gallbladder formula because it not only has the bile salts, but it has the enzymes for the pancreas, and it has the betaine hydrochloride altogether. But I wouldn't just take that. I would take some additional betaine hydrochloride for the stomach itself because bile is alkaline, and we need to acidify your stomach. So I think that's going to be the ultimate thing, and then just give it more time, and I think you're going to be fine on this. But you definitely want to continue to do keto and intermittent fasting, which you're not eating, so that's going to really help heal that system. Sometimes that might be from a nerve problem because the whole autonomic nervous system is controlled, the whole stomach digestive system is controlled by the nervous system. And if you have a blood sugar problem, that could affect the nerves going to the stomach. So that could be what's also underlying this.
It's never just one thing, huh?
Can be.
Could be. Okay.
Yeah.
But which one thing?
Insulin resistance.
Well, I know.
We know it always boils down to insulin.
Always boils down. Okay, good. So Chris on YouTube wants to know, can vision be improved at any age?
Well, I'll tell you what will worsen vision is glasses. Start wearing glasses.
Okay. But say you have glasses.
Okay.
Say you're noticing that your vision's getting worse and you're maybe, in your 40s or
This is the source of that. It's this right here. This right here, focusing on this or this. So what you have to do is, there's a little muscle, ciliary muscle in your eye that controls what's called accommodation, which is your ability to accommodate for distance and things like that. That muscle starts to get, it's like if you just constantly contract a muscle 24/7 and you don't relax it, it starts to shorten. And so it starts affecting the shape of the lens and the eyeball itself. So you need to spend a good amount of time outside just looking at things in the far. That is the best way to fix your vision. If you spend an hour a day just walking the park, but if you see people walking, they're
looking down.
They're doing this, or they're looking down. You want to actually get your eyeball and just look out there and focus on distant objects.
And what about food?
Well, of course, that's a given, healthy keto and intermittent fasting, because out of all the things that destroy the eye, high insulin and high blood sugar is at the top of the list.
There you go.
Cataracts, glaucoma, the retina, you name it.
Okay. What about cracked fingertip skin?
Well, usually it's a B vitamin deficiency, but it could also be something going on with your liver, especially if you had a lot of aspirin or ibuprofen. That can really destroy the liver and start causing cracking. With the cracking, you want to do omega-3 fatty acids. Vitamin E is very important, and that usually should clear up when you do intermittent fasting and keto.
Okay, good. What about dry eyes?
Vitamin A, however, if you don't have a gallbladder or you're missing bile salts, that could be why you're not absorbing vitamin A. So it's really the function of your liver and your gallbladder. And I have tons of videos on that, Karen.
See the videos. So for people who don't know, if you're new here, if you go on YouTube.
Let me tell you, I was just on my my YouTube channel, and I was looking up, because I read a lot of your responses. I have 3,000 a day. I don't read every single one, but I'm reading a ton of them, just so you know. I might not answer them because it'd be impossible, but I do read them. And I would venture to say, Karen, 90% of all the questions
are answered.
I have a video on that, but people just didn't search it out. I mean, today it was like, if I just cut and paste all day long, so I think what I need to do, Karen, is create a video at the end of my videos that says, listen, before you ask a question, go ahead and look it up. It's probably already listed. Just do a search.
So is there a trick to it, to type in on the search in YouTube, Dr. Berg?
Dr. Berg,
question,
and then the topic.
The topic. So even if you're on the Dr. Berg channel.
Doesn't matter. You want to put Dr. Berg and then the item, and you will probably find it.
Dr. Berg psoriasis. Dr. Berg.
It's so bad that I even forget the videos that I'm doing. I'll start, like each time I do videos, I have all my notes and I prepare for this video, and then I go, wait a second, I better check if I have a video on that. And sure enough, I did a video on it already, so I put a big old cross through that. I'm like, okay, so back to the drawing board. So I've just done so many after 4,000. Sometimes it's hard to remember every single video on every single food.
Right. It wouldn't be the end of the world if you did a second video on something.
No, it wouldn't.
I'm sure you would do a different aspect of it, or
you would think.
Something, I would hope.
Sometimes. They're exactly the same.
Okay, and I got several questions today on skin conditions, eczema, psoriasis, itchy skin, dry skin.
If you take all the things that you can do for your skin, intermittent fasting is probably going to give you the best skin. But you have to make sure that you do not go low fat. You want to do omega-3 fatty acids, higher fats in intermittent fasting, fish, cod liver oil, salmon, and your skin is going to be so good.
Awesome.
And sun, of course. Some people are concerned about the sun and they completely avoid the sun. It doesn't make sense to me that we have to completely avoid the sun, since most people are so vitamin D deficient and it's impossible to get your vitamin D from food. So what are we supposed to do? Nature has provided us some sun. When you get sun, I'm not talking about sitting out there and, for hours and hours, but get enough sun to get your vitamin D, and don't be so worried that it's going to cause cancer.
Yeah, and I question that anyway, because for centuries people are out in the sun. I mean,
Totally.
There's some countries where people are just out in the sun 24/7.
Yeah.
I question all the stuff you're spraying into your skin all the time.
Yeah, and also just having the nutrition to bulletproof you against UV. UV does, I tell you what, just watch the video on hormesis and you'll get the answer on that. I did a video on that and I talk about UV radiation. Ricardo, you're from New Jersey. You had a question about 7-day fasts. Go ahead.
How you doing? How you doing, Dr. Berg? How you doing, Karen? Nice to talk to you guys again. Yes, I'm arming myself with all your knowledge, sir, and I'm doing 7-day fast, 1-day refeeding. I'm planning to do 6 cycles, and I'm on my second one. And yeah, I'm hanging in there. And just to let you know, it's easy because the hunger suppresses totally, especially right now at this stage that I'm at. But still, it's kind of tough.
Yeah.
So I just want to ask you a couple of things which I'm noticing, Dr. Berg, and they're like, I notice them every time I fast, but now that I'm doing really prolonged fast, because I'm literally following your advice. First of all, I'm getting this weird thirst with a metallic flavor in my mouth. After I take my electrolyte mineral vitamin, the supplement that I'm trying to do to get my electrolyte so I don't feel the dizziness. And it's kind of weird because it's like a thirst. I'm thirsty for water, but every single time I drink the water, I put the electrolytes in, a couple of hours pass by, and I got that metallic thirst in my mouth. And second, I don't know how to say it in more good way so it doesn't sound gross, but if I'm not eating anything and it's been so many days, after my last refeeding, which was Sunday, what I'm going to the bathroom, when I'm sitting down, what is coming out of me? Like, I don't understand that.
Yeah, you're probably what's happening to me, right? Well, let me just answer that. You have your body is recycling your own tissues during this process, but you are sloughing off like cells and things, and you have microbes. So the body's just eliminating certain waste that is in the process of, it's called autophagy. So you can learn about that if you do a video, if you watch my video on that. As far as the metallic taste, I wouldn't necessarily worry too much about that. That's probably you're just tasting some of the minerals because they are kind of metal-like, but they're minerals. I would just make sure that you have enough sea salt because the electrolytes I have are low in sea salt, but they're high in the other minerals. The other thing that I would recommend is make sure you have a good trace mineral product in addition to the one I have because I might not have enough. As long as you're taking the B vitamins and these other things, you can do these periodic prolonged fasting bouts. Just make sure that your energy's good, your hair's not falling out, things are working, because if you have that, then you're not doing it right, and you might need to get some help with that. Another thing is if you're feeling weak, you may want to try something that I recently put out there. It's called Keto Essential Aminos. And those are amino acids that won't spike your insulin, but 99% of it goes right into repair, and it's called the anabolic effect. So they're not even hardly used for calories. Maybe a small, like 1% of it is. The majority is about replacing body tissue. So if you go a period of time and your body needs some more amino acids, this might be the solution so you don't break the fast. They're called keto aminos. Very interesting. I did a video on this. But thanks for your call. All right, Karen.
Yeah, I have stuff here. Lily on YouTube asks, is coffee and tea, is there something about that prevents vitamin D3 absorption?
When you take coffee and tea, you do deplete certain nutrients. B1 is a big one. But as far as vitamin D, I don't know about vitamin D if it depletes vitamin D at all. But I do know that it may deplete certain minerals and some of the B vitamins. But other than that, I don't think it does. I don't know if it depletes vitamin D. But it has tannins, and that can actually specifically blocks B1. So if you're drinking a lot of tea or coffee, better take your B1. And in fact, I always take B1 after I take coffee, because then if I don't, I might feel the jitters. You
The
ever have
Jimmy
jitters?
leg? The Jimmy leg?
The Jimmy leg, right. Okay.
Okay, I have another question.
Go ahead.
So if you're concerned about your prostate,
Mm-hmm.
is there something you can do or an extra supplement you can take? I mean, they promote a lot of things. Is keto and IF going to help that?
There's two things that are really important, and everything else is kind of trivial. And I'm talking about assuming you're already doing healthy keto and intermittent fasting. Dairy is not good for the prostate, so I would avoid dairy. Number two, zinc, zinc, zinc. That's the most important mineral for the prostate, and also to help balance testosterone levels. So I would go for the zinc, and in a blend of trace minerals, because if you do too much zinc over a period of time, it'll deplete you of copper, so you want the zinc with the other trace minerals. Hey, let's go to Manny from South Texas. You had a question about the best treatment for seasonal allergies. Is that your question?
Yes, Dr. Berg. But I guess my concern is mostly, first of all, thank you for taking my call.
Sure, absolutely.
But in seasonal allergies, I'm a toddler. My daughter's 19 months now. She weighs about 24 pounds. And in the last year, she's already had about 3 or 4 doctor's visits, concerning allergies that lead on to congestion, either sinus or chest congestion. Like recently, it was mostly chest congestion, which she couldn't get over her cough. Had a hard time sleeping. The doctor prescribed albuterol, antibiotics, and then the second time that we went, she was given a steroid shot for relief of the cough.
Yeah.
I guess it's something that I didn't really like at first, but you just want them to get relief.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was wondering if you had any other recommendations. I had heard on a previous video of yours like fenugreek tea, and but also I was wondering about kefir yogurt or any other keto version for them, for specific for toddlers, which.
Right. This is what I would. This is Manny. This is what I would recommend. Out of all the things, there's one thing that's the most important. That's vitamin D. Vitamin D. Vitamin D. Vitamin D. That's what I would recommend. That's also going to help absorb the calcium to help with the cough. So if you want to also help a child with sleeping, it's calcium. You can get calcium lactate. I like that one for kids the best, and it's non-dairy. So give them the calcium lactate. You can crush it up and even put it in something if you want, but right before bed, boom, they go to sleep. They do great. And then with some more vitamin D, especially for kids, that's going to be good for asthma, lung improvement, and supporting a healthy immune system to hopefully avoid these allergies. So try that, and make sure they're not doing any sugar. And
processed liquids, drinks.
Yeah, hidden
foods.
Sugars. Yeah. Also, fermented foods are really good to help the acidity, to make them a little more acidic, and that seems to decrease the allergy symptoms. But out of everything, vitamin D in certain and higher amounts is going to be the best for your child. So try that.
And I'm just going to throw this in because I have a friend whose child had a big situation. She changed everything. It wouldn't hurt to do a mold test in your child's room. Our friend found out after nebulizers and all kinds of things that there was actually mold growing in the mattress or something like that, handled that, and their child was fine. So do a mold test, do an air quality test.
Yes.
And
then stay tuned next week.
Yeah.
On Friday. It's been a pleasure. You guys have some great questions.
Yep.
Stay tuned for some more interesting videos, and we'll see you next week.
Okay. All right, guys.